Hi, when I was a young boy, I went to visit my friend Keith, and in Keith's house, his dad was a collector of Lionel trains. So I went up to his attic, and he had this beautiful big display up in the attic. I knew it was big because he had four different holes where you could crawl underneath and put your head through and work on the train itself. So I decided at that time I really wanted to get into trains when I got older. Well, I'm not sure when I started my collection here, but I do remember that when we took this picture here, my two grandchildren, Alex and Jacob Meehan, were about 3 or 4 years old, and they now have celebrated their 21st birthday. So it gives you some ideas how long it's taken me to finish what I've done. What we can do now is go over and take a panoramic view and see what the whole train set looks like. The train set itself is about 18 feet long and about 6 feet wide. Then I added an extra section on the other side, which is another 4 feet, where I have my circus section on. We'll show you that in a couple minutes. All right, what we can do on our train set here is we can actually run 4 trains at one time. The first train, if you look over here, is really a streetcar, and the streetcar goes from this end all the way around to the other end to the village on top over there. It bounces at the end, comes all the way back by itself, and then bounces here and keeps going back and forth. But later on, hopefully we can get it running and I can show you what it looks like. My second track that I ran is this upper track up here, and later on you'll be able to see that the engines that I'm running on here are the passenger train. So the top section is going to be strictly for a passenger train that goes around, ends up at the station on the other side. There's also a stop over here for the train. If you look down on the inside of it, you can see that there's 2 more tracks. The outside track actually is for my circus train. The circus train goes all the way around again, all the way around the side, comes back out underneath the tunnel, back out this side. And there's also a switch over there so we can back up the train into the circus section over there. That's how those cars got over there. So that's the third one I'm running. The fourth one we're running is the inside track. And the inside track is basically just a normal train that goes around in the city with oil cars and coal cars and things like that. Later on we'll show you different parts of the layout. What I'd like to do now is first of all I want to say that I mentioned that Jacob and Alex were young when they started this. They're actually here helping me today filming this, so I appreciate that. So anyway, we can go over there and we'll start showing. Over here we have the circus section. And one nice thing about the circus section that there are a couple levers that young kids can come over and they can actually turn on some of the rides and play. The first one is the balloon ride that he's going to be turning on right now. And that just goes around in circles and the kids can see how the balloon actually works. The next one is a carnival ride, and it's kind of fun because it has a talking part to it. So Jacob can turn that on now, and you can turn it up, we'll hear what it says. Okay, now you can turn it down. Don't turn it off, just turn it down. That's good, so we can hear each other. The next one we have is the actual circus tent itself. And it's kind of neat because there's actually a switch over here that kids can turn on and off just to test it and let it run. And everything on the inside of there works by itself. There's probably about 3 or 4 different songs that it plays. The next one we have, of course, is I'll turn this off so we can talk. The next we, of course, have the Ferris wheel. And then we have the little circus, I forgot what they call those, the merry-go-round. One thing we have here I don't have on right now, I have to get going, is a small N gauge. It's one of the smallest trains that they make in model railroading. And the N gauge I use for a children's ride that just goes around and around. It has the kids riding on the boxcars. So that's kind of a neat feature. There's also a playground. The playground, the swings move and the teeter-totters move up and down. So that works out pretty nice. In the background, of course, you see the circus wagons itself. They're lined up. I don't know how many I've got, but I've got quite a few. That's about the whole circus section. Now we're going to go back over to the other side. Here's our main city portion of it. with a number of buildings in there. I'll explain to you what some of the buildings are. The first one over here is the Lionel Train Center or Lionel Train Store. The next one next to it is the police department. And then next to that is the fire department. Then as you go on to the other side is the City Globe newspaper. One next to that is the Stock Exchange building, and then there's a Hollydale department store. Next to that is the Harley Davidson factory. We're all familiar in Milwaukee with Harley Davidson. Next to that is the Ritz Hotel. And then finally after that is the chocolate factory. When you go over to the next section, I should also mention the center part here is what, when I first started this, Diane did all this work on the inside because she was better at doing the layouts and doing the sand and doing the grass, and I couldn't do that till I finally learned about 10 years later how to do some of that. So the center of it actually has a fountain in it with people sitting around. It looks kind of neat. When you go into the next section, we have a dining car. For those people who remember the older dining cars they had, they looked like railroad cars. That's the way they were. When you go into the next section, in the back is actually a beer garden, and I'll go on the other side and play that for you in a few minutes. But I want to explain the front part that I made. This is one of the last parts that I made, which is kind of difficult for me because I wasn't sure how to make the water and everything else. So there's a big pond in the middle, and you can see the water looks darker on the outside, gets lighter, then turns to a sandy color. In the back, in the front here, we have a boy and his father's fishing off a rock. On the other side, we have a boy fishing off a pier. And in the back part over here, we just have two people on the beach. The one I kind of like is this back part here with the kids playing basketball, and one guy's actually dunking the basketball. On the other side, we have people barbecuing. I'm going to walk over to the other side and I'll show you what the beer garden looks like when it's turned on. It's kind of neat. We'll turn the sound down so we can talk again. As we go down a little bit farther, you see over here there's a kind of like a train museum. That actually Diane bought for me when she was on a quilting exhibition where the guy had a ceramics company and he made these and he actually painted them for us. So it turned out pretty nice and I wanted to use it someplace, so I did. Over on your side, Jacob, over there is of course one of the barns for the trains itself. For the engines, as you follow through, you can see that they're working on track in front of it. They're trying to expand the track. There's people working, which is kind of nice with the figures that they have. One of the ones I like too is the actual, I don't know if I can get it to light up. I think I can. Depends which one it is. This one here, the actual fire in the terminal building itself. It's kind of, if you put smoke in there, smoke comes out of there. But you can see there's firemen on the outside trying to put the fire out with their hoses. That looks kind of neat when it's kind of dark in here and there's not a lot of light in there. You get a chance to see that. In the back portion, we have three different buildings. One of them is, of course, a Ford dealership. It's kind of neat that in the dealership, the actual Ford turns around in the middle in a pedestal. Next to it is a gas station, just a normal gas station. And next to that is a Coca-Cola bottling plant. As we go around to the top, you can see that's the train station itself, waiting for passengers. And before, Jacob showed you what the other side is, but maybe we can get a little closer look now. The actual station itself and people waiting on the platform, waiting for the train. Now, you might want to go in first because I'm not sure if we're just about finished with it. The bridge that's up there actually is an actual steel bridge that I bought, so it's kind of a nice feature to have. And over on his right is all the work stuff. I can move my sock out of the way that I use for dusting in there, but There's about four different things to locate. This one can run 2 trains at one time. That can run 2. The other ones are running some accessories I have. One runs that streetcar that I talked about, and one runs the actual circus itself and everything else with the lighting. Now if I can try, I don't know if I can get this going.